Hello everyone. This is about an MBA project. What is a project? It comprises of the student's practical exposure to a particular topic. It has a particular structure. The first one is called as the title. The title gives you an overview about what you're going to do in your project. It should be very specific to the point and it should give you an insight about what you're going to study in your project. Abstract. It should be given in italics. An abstract consists of 250 to 300 words and it gives a summary of your project. Introduction. The introduction is the background of the study and it also covers the need, the scope and limitations of the study. The scope covers the area for further research and limitations to what extent you go on in your project. Now, coming to the review of literature. A review gives you about different authors who have reviewed about a particular topic and it gives the research gap. Now here two things are covered, the Harvard and the Oxford model. In the reviews, the minimum requirement is 25 reviews for an MBA project and a maximum of 50 reviews. Next is the company profile. Now the company profile tells you about what is the company and what it has been covering. Now usually it is said that the MBA students go in to draw pictures and give vast explanation which is not required for a company profile. And what should it include? It should include the vision, mission, the targets and achievements of the company with relevance to your research. Now the company profile is very important. Yes, you can do a freelance project. A freelance project is about the study without a company's name. But here there is a limitation. There are 5 marks deducted if you do not have a company's name. Next, coming to the third unit. Now here the objectives would have been covered earlier in the previous records if you check down, but this time the objectives and the hypothesis will be included in chapter 3. What do you mean by objectives? Now what is your goal? What is the significance of your study that is covered in your objectives? It can range from 5 to 7 and the objectives will be followed by hypothesis. What is a hypothesis? It covers the null and alternate hypothesis. For a layman, what you're not going to study would be your null hypothesis or the reverse of what you need to study. And the alternative is what you're going to find out in your research. Then followed by research methodology. The research methodology will use the dependent and independent variable. When you give the dependent and independent variables, it will be followed by the population. The population consists of finite and infinite variable. And here the sample size is very, very important. Well, you may not be aware, but a minimum requirement of 100 sample size is required for an MBA project. It can go on to a max of 400. Next, the tools that are being included. Now, the tools consist of instrument, that is your questionnaire. Now, for a questionnaire, the minimum requirement would be 25 questions. So, it will have an open and close-ended questionnaire. Now, here, the research methodology may cover the primary and secondary data. Most of the marketing and HR projects relate to the primary data, whereas the finance will go for the secondary data. Now, there are certain areas in finance where the topics are being deleted. Make a note of it. Working capital, ratio analysis, capital budgeting, financial statements and analysis. Now, coming to the data analysis and interpretation. It is very important that the data that you collected, it is with relevance to your research findings. So, it should include what are the research that you're going to do it, using your demographic profile as one of the measure and later followed by the questions that are related for your research. Now this is followed by your suggestions. Suggestions are very, very important. If not included, your project is not valid. Then what should a suggestion include? Most of the time the students go about writing 25 to 30 or sometimes in points which may or may not be relevant to the project. Then what should it include? It's important to include the objectives for the research that is being done. That means the answers that you're giving for your objectives which you have set as your initial stage of the study. So that should be included for your suggestions. And the second part is societal concept. That is, how does it help the society with your project? Is it going to benefit something from the research that you have done? These two things should be included in your suggestions. Recommendations, yes. What are you going to suggest after you have done your project is being done? Now you would recommend what changes could be brought about in the study that you have done so that the company benefits from it, as well that you would also recommend them to make some changes so that they can be better than what they were in the past. Conclusion is the final statement that you give after the project is being done. Now, this would be followed by a bibliography. It is actually the summarizing of all the things that you've included right from the books, articles, or from your online data. So, it should go about for 100 references in MBA project. Now, here they should include at least 5 from the objectives that you have studied or checked in, and 5 from your review of literature where you have given a gap for the research that you have done. Now, this is how a normal structure and format would be given. Now, make a note of it that the certificate that you produce for your MBA project should have a period of 45 days. Even a 44-day period will not be accepted. It can be on a safe side to 2 months if you've definitely gone in for doing a project. Now, the name and address of your supervisor should also be included in the second certificate where you have the inclusion of how your project is done, under whose guidance you have been doing it. There are certain things that we can be shown in later on as we go further in the project. Thank you.